Good afternoon. My name is Sean Colon. This is my individual presentation managing the writing process. So, the writing process, what defines a process? A process simply means that there is stages to doing it that you follow. Writing takes time to get good at. It's not as simple as you follow steps exactly and you create amazing writing. Writing is subjective, and in the same way, everybody writes different and needs to develop their own style for how to write. Um, I'm going to talk about the base stages, some of the aspects of writing, and how you can use those to improve your own writing. Building habits. With anything in the world, building habits is an important skill that everybody should have because habits make who you are. They are a part of your everyday routine and are important to your life. So, with writing, you need to build habits that you go through to make good writing. Because if you don't build habits, then your writing won't improve because you don't know what you do like about how you write and what you don't like about how you write, how to separate those two and ultimately be able to choose what you do like to make the best writing that you can create. Some examples of common habits that people have are writing note cards, brainstorming, pre writing planning, which I personally use. Pre writing planning a day or two before I'm planning to write. I'll sit down, thesis, topic, body paragraphs, conclusion. Just plan it out. Don't write all of them. But that typically helps me and is one of my writing habits that I found that I use. Develop an understanding. So it's hard to write about something when you don't know what you're talking about. You develop an understanding by obviously reading and analyzing the content that you're writing about, or even not reading. However, you're gathering information by doing that and analyzing the information that you gained from it. Um, it's also important to know uh, topics, themes, and genres. All three of those are relevant to, again, what you're writing, especially if it's a college assignment, because in a college assignment, it's specifically laid out for you. You're not free writing, you're not talking about something that you want to talk about in your own sense. You're not creating the directions, you have them there, and you need to know what those guidelines are so you can create writing that is consistent with those guidelines. Create interest. So when you're not interested when you're writing, it shows. Um, you may not always have the option of choosing exactly what you want to write about. However, you can try and find angles and new ways to look at it that can get you excited to write about it. Because in everything that you do, if you're not excited to do it or you don't care about how the outcome is, it shows. And that's just life. Whenever you care about something, you're bound to do that better than you were if you didn't. Uh, Aspects of writing. There are a lot of things to consider when you are writing. You need to think about the audience, the purpose, your stance, the genre. And to go a little deeper in those are just a few of the aspects, but the audience, you got to know who you're writing to because who you're writing to changes how they perceive your writing. And that's just based off of the circumstances that they've been through in their life, recurring life events. Each generation perceives things differently than a generation before. So you kind of want to know the targeted audience or who you might be writing, who might read what you're writing. The purpose, you got to know what you're writing about. It's that simple. You got to know why you're writing about it and what you're writing about so you have an understanding. That goes back to having an understanding because if you have an understanding of what you're writing, you'll be able to write better. Your stance. You got to know what you think about what you're writing. Typically, there's a choice in how you write, there's choices to make on what side you're going to choose, usually in argumentative or persuasive essays. So you got to know where you stand so you can gather evidence according and build those good body paragraphs that will use the rhetoric to convince people. The genre. You also have to know, again, like a persuasive essay, you have to know what kind of writing you're doing in order to effectively communicate uh, what you're supposed to be doing. How you're going to write it, again, You need to understand whether it's in the form of speech, you're directly writing it down on paper, you are doing it on a computer. For this class, most people will be doing it on a computer just because it's a college online class. However, in your own writing that you're going to do in your life, you have to think about that because it changes how people perceive the writing. Perception is reality, and everything that the reader perceives will affect the writing that you made. And then, last but not least, the context. You got to know the background information, which comes from developing an understanding of what you're writing about and the information that you gathered. Time management. Writing is not a process that should be done overnight. To make good writing, you need to manage your time. Uh, it's that simple. You need to plan it out. When you sit down and just start free writing, you may be able to generate some ideas and brainstorm and get maybe a baseline, but that's not okay for making a fully finished process product, essay. So, what you should do is you should plan out knowing when you're starting, the moment you receive the information, to when it is due. And you should plan times for, like I said, those habits that you have, whether it's note taking, pre writing, anything like that, pre planning, rough draft, review, final draft, editing, and then submission. That's an example of time management with the essay writing process because you don't want your work to be sloppy. Organize your thoughts and get creative. Organization is key to everything in life. Being organized allows you to um, really be able to understand what's happening, if that makes sense. So you need to take all that information that's in your brain because there's a lot of it when you're reading these writings and making decisions on what you're going to put in your own writing. You get a lot of information, and it's best to break that down. Like I said, I think one of the best ways to organize your thoughts and get creative is pre writing planning, which is what I use because a lot of times I can take in some really useful information and forget about it, or I correlate it with something else and end up not using it. So whenever I'm reading, gathering information, I'm organizing my thoughts as I go so I can go back and apply it to the essay or the writing that I'm creating. And this allows you to personalize it, to put your own spin to it in a better fashion. Overview and takeaways. Personalize the writing process and build habits. Like I said, the process is different for everyone. You need to build your own habits to really reform your own process and make the best product that you can. Create an understanding of the assignment. If you don't understand what you're writing, then you are not going to be able to produce good writing. It's as simple as that. If you don't know what you're talking about, then what you're writing doesn't have any value to it. Develop interest in your topic. When you're interested in something, you're going to do it 10 times better than if you just didn't care about it. Consider all the aspects of your writing and how your writing will be perceived. As I said, there's a lot of aspects to writing, and perception is reality. All of those aspects affect how the reader perceives the writer's writing. Manage your time and be organized. As I said, it's different for everyone. Managing your time, you need to build a timeline so you know the steps and you can see if you're on track on time. You can make adjustments accordingly. And organizing your thoughts, like I said, is a helpful way to ensure that you are including everything that you want to include and are making the best writing that you can. Thank you. That was my presentation on the writing process, and have a good day.